Hi everybody, this is Jamie Rubeis, instructor for Processing 102 Lightroom Fundamentals at Clickin' Moms University. I wanted to do a little demonstration today to show everybody how I brought this image to life using Lightroom. This image was taken during the last part of the day, and it was our last light of the day, and so there's a lot of detail in the sky that we don't see in the straight out of camera image that I can still bring back in Lightroom. And so that's what I want to try to do here today, and also to enhance the color a little bit in the foreground. I've gone ahead and made some basic exposure and white balance adjustments to this image. So the next thing that I want to do is to go ahead and warm up some of the tones that are in the bottom half of the image in the flowers. Currently they're taking on a green tone, and we see some yellows in there, but I'd like to go ahead and warm those up using the Hue Saturation Luminance panel. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and take my green channel and bring that to the left towards the yellows, adding in some yellows. Then I'm going to my yellow hue slider, and I also want to bring that to the left and warm them up a little bit. So those tones are not so much lime green as they are a little bit warmer of a yellow tone. The next thing I want to do is go into my luminance panel and bring down my yellow luminance slider just a touch, and it was just going to kind of darken up the yellow tones in the foreground. And then I also want to bring my yellow saturation slider up just a touch. Now if we look at a quick before and after of those changes, you can see we've actually warmed up the foreground quite a bit, and the tones are complementing the overall image as opposed to having them look more on the green side. The next thing that I want to do is to go ahead and bring back some of the detail in the sky, and I'm going to do that using a graduated filter. So I'm going to grab my graduated filter, and I'm already set to exposure, but I want to bring my exposure setting down just a touch, and I'm also going to bring my highlights down. And I'm going to start my graduated filter about right on the mountain line, and then bring it down to just above her head. And then anything above the line, the top line, is going to apply that at 100%. And I'm just going to graduate down and stopping just above my subject because I don't want these adjustments affecting my subject. So I've brought my exposure down, but I want to go ahead and bring that down a little bit more. I'm going to bring down my highlights all the way and even push my exposure just a little bit more. And you can see some of the color coming back in the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a new graduated filter and do the same thing, but starting from the top and coming down to about the top of the mountain. And again, I can go ahead and adjust my exposure a little bit more if I want to try to bring in just some more color. I'm also going to increase my temp slider to warm up the top half of my image and maybe add in some magentas and maybe a little bit of saturation just to really add some color to that sky. Let's try bringing down our exposure just a little bit more in the top half there. And it's created kind of a foggy effect in the middle here, but I actually like that effect, and if I wanted to, I could go in and use an adjustment brush and decrease my exposure and paint in that area to bring back some of the detail in the mountains. But again, I really like the effect that it's creating because it looks like there's some fog back in the distance, and so I'm okay with that. And I actually might use just one quick adjustment brush and bring it down just slightly. So if I open my adjustment brush, and I'm only going to do a very, very small exposure adjustment, and I have my flow set to 52, and I'm just going to paint on here just a little bit, and I might bring down my exposure just a little bit more, and then just kind of paint on the outside, just to kind of blend it in a little bit better. Coming out to the outer edges and right above her head. And then the last thing I want to do is go ahead and brighten up my subject a little bit more. So I'm going to take a new adjustment brush and I'm going to increase my exposure slightly. I'm going to make my adjustment brush a little bit smaller here, and I'm going to increase my flow to 100%, and I'm just going to paint right over my subject. And I'm even going to paint right on her dress. And I might be a little bit more careful with this for the sake of time and showing you. I'm just kind of grazing over this area. I'm also going to lift my shadows just a touch. And if I exit out of there, you can see that we've brought back some of the detail in the sky and still maintaining a great exposure on my subject.